Hello, and welcome to the ComSpark Magazine interview series. My name is Jim Burden with the Head Technologies, and we partner with ComSpark Magazine for a series of interviews with executives across all industries across our region. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Tonjia Coverdale, the AVP of Workforce and Legal Technology for Nationwide Insurance. Tonjia, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you, and thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Always good to hear from all the folks around Central Ohio. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you arrived at Nationwide, what career path you took.
Absolutely. So my career path, I will say paths have been very untraditional to Nationwide, but ones that I have had so much fun over the last almost 25 years. So I'm originally from New York City and been living here in Ohio for almost 4 years and loving it, especially Central Ohio, and work has brought me this way. But my two paths have followed academia and industry. And it was actually my academic path that brought me to Ohio. So in my academic path, I have specialized in IT with 3 degrees in IT, including my bachelor's, master's, and Ph.D. And so really have taken a deep dive into the subject academically and have spent many, many years as a professor of technology in several universities and also as an administrator at the university level. So, which is what brought me to Ohio, with my previous role as the vice president and CIO at Central State University, which is in Wilberforce, Ohio. That's the role I had immediately prior to joining Nationwide in my current role. But in my industry role, that's where I originally started. I've spanned large companies, Big Six consulting firms. I've done public sector, private sector. I actually started my career as a developer. So I did start at hardcore techie and loving it. So I go in and out of technology industry and academia, mainly because I love both sides of it and happy to land in the industry side again in my current role at Nationwide.
What an interesting path. We never know where it may take us, right? That's always the
Yeah.
interesting part of technology. So tell us a little bit about the role you're in today at Nationwide.
Yeah, so in my current role, I am actually a part of Nationwide Technology. So a lot of times people think of Nationwide as an insurance company, and it is, but I do nothing with insurance. So I'm still very much focused on the tech industry. And in my role, I support 2 members of the Office of the Chief Executive Officer. I support the application portfolios for the Office of the Chief Human Resources Officer, which includes everything relating to HR. So payroll, benefits, human capital management. So Workday, for example, is our HCM, talent acquisition, learning, and organizational effectiveness, associate experience. So everything that deals with our associates in Nationwide, I have so much fun because I really love people. It's been my driver in my entire career, the intersection of people and technology. So it's really fun working on that. The other side of my role is I also support the Office of the Chief Legal Officer, which is a very, very interesting section as well, because I do applications relating to legal and trial and compliance, discovery and management unit, philanthropy, Nationwide Foundation. So putting those both together is a vast amount of responsibilities, and just, again, loving my role and loving Nationwide.
That's great. Thank you. So I suspect this pandemic that we've all experienced for the last 18 months has really thrown you for a little bit of a loop since you've got all the people responsibility. How has that changed how you approach the job?
Well, you know what? The interesting thing is I actually started Nationwide in the pandemic. So I had experience being the associate that we're trying to figure out how to serve, right? So I don't have any experience of the old Nationwide where everyone gathered in the building and had these awesome coffee chats and being in the hub is what they call it. My laptop showed up at my door with a login and said, go be great, right? And that's what I've done. So really, I love that because it's informed me and how I guide my team to interact with our business partner, because I have firsthand insight on this hybrid world and what it means for Nationwide without having that prior context. But in the macro context, it's been really fun because every time a new mandate comes out, we have to respond. So, okay, now we have to somehow find a way to track vaccinations or testing. My team's on the forefront of that. My team is on the forefront of multi-jurisdictional taxes. So you work from Columbus sometime and you work from where you reside in whatever county. My team is on the forefront with figuring out how that works. And so we've been kind of responding fast paced. And that's what I love the most.
That's great. You're obviously very passionate about what you do. So tell me a little bit about that passion. What inspired it? What brought you to the tech industry? Who do you look for advice or inspiration?
Yeah, you know what? I get inspired by the art of possibility. So I've always been a problem solver, and I came to the tech industry by accident. It is the best thing that ever happened to me. I always say I did not find tech. Tech found me. It was never on my radar. So actually, when I enrolled in college, I was a math major, which I just mentioned that I am a problem solver. Love to solve problems. Like it's a whole big game to me. But upon matriculation and looking at all of the courses ahead of me, I decided I didn't love math that much to spend 4 years doing almost all math. And literally, Jim, I flipped through a catalog and landed on this major that said information systems. And what I liked about it, and now I understand why, what I liked about it is that it was balanced. It has some math, it has some science, it has some English, it had some marketing, it has some management, it has some accounting, it was like a little buffet, like a buffet of things. And that makes sense because when you think about how technology has evolved, it is the foundation of every part of the business. So I love that my business school knowledge kind of comes into play every day. But I chose it not knowing what it was, just because it's seed and fun. And I guess this is why you don't send 16-year-old first generation college students to school by themselves. But I feel like I chose wisely. So I selected the major, and 2 years later, I found out that it was technology. But guess what? I had never used a computer in my life. I didn't own a computer. So I did not use a computer until I was a junior in college. Wow. And so we can have a whole other conversation another day about the digital divide. But, from the first time I turned it on and realized that I could make things happen, it was another way to problem solve. So that's where the passion comes from. And really, again, the intersection of people. I have used technology to change my life, my trajectory of my life, my family, my community. I've used technology to change entire territories. When I served as the president and chief executive officer of the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network, bringing broadband technologies to the Virgin Islands for the first time and really opening up possibilities for a whole populace of a territory. I've used it to change universities. I've used it to change students' lives. I've used it to change people's lives around me. So really my passion comes from seeing technology be a driver for societal change in addition for business change.
That's fantastic. That sounds like something that's been built in for a while. So last question. So knowing that you've been doing this for 25 years, which you mentioned earlier, if you had to give some advice to that young girl that was first starting out, what would that be today?
Yeah, I think I would say probably just keep going. It's going to be fun. And you may not know all of the answers all the time. Because in the beginning, I would say I'm a lot more fluid now, being more seasoned in my career. But in the beginning, I would get frustrated because I didn't know it all. I wanted to know every language. I wanted to know every new technology. Well, technology evolves so quickly, it's impossible. Like you're just not ever going to know every new technology. But if you know how to learn and you know how to love learning and you know how to be resourceful and you know how to connect with people, then I think I would have definitely told me that earlier, like you'll figure it out. And I did, but just keep loving learning and keep loving people and it'll all come together.
Great advice.
Great advice.
Well, thank you, Tonjia. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time, of course, and please visit comspark.tech for additional interviews. Thank you.
Thank you.